Waiting for somebody to show up. I know I know a song that gets on everybody's nerves. I need to sing it until I get somebody in here. Um, okay. So if you don't know who I am, I'm Susanna Meyer. I wrote for Pathos for nearly 10 years, a column called No Longer Quivering. Now I'm just kind of doing my own thing. I'm retired here to paradise. I'm doing what I want to do. Hey, whoever just showed up. So I wanted to talk a little bit today about what do you do when your friends want to show up? You live in paradise and people say, hey, I'm coming to see you for vacation. Now, we've had 2 years where we haven't had that lately because of COVID, almost 3 years. We've had very few visitors because the borders have been closed for most of it. Well, the borders are reopened now, and the first of our friends, our guests, are here. Okay. So I have to talk a little bit about that because there's different things. This I knew this was going to be hard because this person that came over is a friend of my husband's. He worked with him. And I think the guy's a little bit on the odd side. I'm not saying that in a bad, negative way. He's just a little weird. And that's okay. We're all just a little bit weird. Hey, small town Jewel. I'm just now coming back on. I finally escaped from the guests. I'm making a video. So, anyway, the key this time to making it a pleasant time was we told him what options were available instead of just showing up and saying, well, you can do X, Y, and Z. And we planned the days out like we know we're going on Sunday to Arnold for a couple of days. I'm going to try to post from Arnold because it is absolutely gorgeous, particularly where we stay at. I'm going to have to show you the Green Lagoon Health Resort. The private suites there are just out of this world. You will not believe it. Not suites. What am I saying? The Not the cottages. What do they call those things? I don't know, but they have these. Oh, I can't think of the word. They have these private cottages there that are really nice villas. Villas. I always think of a villa when I'm there. And one of the villas sits overlooking another volcano and has its own swimming pool and is just fabulous. I've not stayed at a villa that wasn't gorgeous. So anyway, I look forward to that because when I go to Arnold, I sit on the balcony, I read a book, I do a little bird watching, I relax while my husband runs off and climbs a volcano and does all the stuff that I've done that I have no interest in doing. The only thing that I have an interest in doing that I'm going to do besides those things is climb down in the free springs. So that's another thing. If you're coming over to visit, talk to the people in advance and say, I'm more interested in X, Y, or Z, and let them know because there are things to do and they will know. They'll know from where they're living at what it's like. Good example is Arnold because you could pay $100 a night to Arnold to any of the fancy hotels and go in um their hot springs off the volcano. Hey, Claire Bear, but you can also do it for free. You just park for a couple of mil near the Tabacon Hotel, and you follow all the locals to the free hot springs. I do that all the time. I don't pay the $100 a day. When I go there, I get in the hot springs for free because I'm cheap like that. But seriously, the people who live there are mostly going to know these things that you can see and do for free. Now, like I said, we planned out a couple of days at Arnold beforehand. He had trouble getting here because his flights were canceled on 2 different days. I wasn't sure he was ever going to make it here. So when he got here, we were kind of like, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? Well, he said he wasn't bothered about seeing beaches. We showed him Grande, which is the nicest beach here. I said, what else do you want to see? He said he wanted to see an animal sanctuary. Now, that's a little bit problematic, and it didn't go super well because the only real animal sanctuary near here, um, I am thrifty. Let's just put it that way, small town Jewel. It's just a lifetime of thrift from having put two kids at the same time through college and various other things. So we saw him the nicest beach. Today we took him to the animal sanctuary. He wasn't real impressed. He didn't really like it, but you know something? It's different here than the States. I took him to the only real animal sanctuary in this area, and they didn't have a lot of animals today. It's just the way the cookie crumbles. Can't control how many animals are going to get a call to go out and rescue at all. So there was no sloths, nothing like that. He was very disappointed, but not me. I got to see all their parrots, and I love parrots, so that was awesome. But these were all things we talked about with him beforehand to figure out what he wanted to do. We talked about it the first evening. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? And I think he was shocked at how exhausted the two of us are, my husband and I, like yesterday. Morning at the beach, getting a little sunburned. Afternoon, what did we do yesterday afternoon? We drove to Santa Cruz to show him what real Costa Rica, away from the touristy areas, that we took him to Tamarindo, to the tourist areas. So it was a full day. So I'm stepping out of the afternoon and the evening. Let the guys go run on the beach. So that's the other thing I want to say. Know your limits. Know exactly what your limits are. And stand up for them. Say, hey, blah, blah, blah. And that can sometimes be difficult when you have guests that you see every now and then, but they're not like family. So you have to stand up for yourself. I've had to do that today so that I can stay home. Just stupid stuff like having two mugs in the sink with two spoons, and he looks at me and says, when are you going to do dishes? And I had to say, my damn well, please. So it's a little weird living in paradise. And when people come to stay and they have all these expectations, they're going to go surf an iguana. I don't know, but it can be interesting. So what I try to do is I try to hit the key points here. Say, what do you want to do, and hit those points, because living in a tourist area, there are literally dozens of things that you could do every single day for probably a month. I'm thinking everything from different hang gliding to, hey, T King. So there's all that could be done. I mean, just endless. So make sure that your guests are thinking about what they want to do before they get here. Warn them about anything they may have to do or deal with coming through customs, all of that. I would have probably said, want them done to do it yourself. Small thing, I might have said that, except for one thing. This is a guy who is used to very specific gender roles. And I know I disappointed him this afternoon. My husband went and took a nap. Me, I got my rocking chair and started crocheting and watching Mad Men, because I was just having one of those days and just needed to be off my feet for a little while. So he has very specific ideas about how everything should be done. And you and I all know the very specific ideas about how everything should be done doesn't always work. I mean, in the real world. So try to manage people's expectations before they come to see you. I've tried to do that many a time, sometimes successfully, sometimes not successfully. This time, not quite as successfully as some other times. He keeps calling us a third world country. It is not a third world country. You're in a second world when you're here. And you're in one of the most expensive real estates in the entire country, this whole Gold Coast. So, hey. So, you guys, if you've been watching the drama all over the place, I mean, Real Entertainment News, Kareem Williams, he lost his second channel that he's had for like 10 years. I'm seeing some crazy things going on all over the place. Somebody told me, and I haven't checked it out yet, so I don't know how true, that AZ pretty much had Ren on last night. She had Real Entertainment News Kareem on. I'm going to watch that in a little while. I don't know. I thought maybe that this was over and he was going to back away for a while. But no, it sounds like he's going strong. And the other party is going strong. So who knows? Who knows? Hey, Claire, what's going to happen on that one? I admit I'm watching because I'm curious. I want to see what Ren's going to do next. If he's going to try and fight his deletions, if he's going to try to talk to YouTube over this stuff, and I don't know what's going to happen with the other party. The other thing is, this morning that I was really surprised at is apparently Amy Ducker King is backing away from her best friend of all times without a box of Kleenex. I mean, I was waiting for that to happen a long, long time ago. When you hang around and giggle over things, over your cousins, and you throw your relatives under the bus, what do you expect to happen? People aren't going to like that. Even if you may have a point, they're still going to think you're the mean girl because you're taking after your family. I mean, why would you do that? Why would you go online and go after your family? It's not a good look for anybody. So there is that. Hey, T King, again, and your favorite bear, Claire. So yeah. So what are y'all doing? What are you up to? I mean, I'm not up to nothing. I got to go wash. I got to go wash those damn dishes in a few minutes. And do some laundry. Finish that up. Since the men folk are away doing whatever it is that guys do when they're not with their women folk. Um, It is really interesting. I got to say this. It's been 3 days where I've had, I mean, minimal online. And it is kind of strange when you're not, when you're used to doing online. You're packing up your Christmas decoration. I still have to do that. I haven't done that yet. Housework until Love After Lockup tonight. Christoph fan, I want to talk about that because I saw a trailer for it finally, an extended trailer. And tomorrow we're going to be watching it. Now, I don't know if we're going to get a chance to do a recap, but I just got to talk about that for a while too. Have you been on Reddit? Because one of the new people in the new season came on Reddit the other day. It's the guy, the big guy with the big bulging muscles. He came on Reddit and he was flexing. He had a picture of himself like, nah, look at my muscle. He didn't have the wiggle. He didn't have the middle-aged wiggle. So he had a shirtless picture of himself pushing his muscles and things. And he came onto Reddit and started talking about the show. And he started talking about being on the show. He talked about he has 5 or 6 different gals he's all screwing along who are in prison. And it wasn't a good look for him at all. And we were all saying, hey, Sharp Entertainment is hell on their NDAs. What they did to Clint motherfucking Crack Baker, when he broke his NDA, was they just ended his involvement in the show. They don't even do updates on Clint, nothing. So we're trying to keep him on. You say, you can't keep doing that. If you do that, what's going to happen is they're going to kick your butt off the show. And finally, Reddit removed all of his posting, but he was downright nasty to some of us, but we weren't exactly the most welcoming committee to him there on Reddit. And Claire, have you been reading some of the AITA? I can't get over that. I've fallen headfirst into the relationship threads. Now, the relationship threads give me extreme pause because there's a lot of times women are posting and saying, you slapped me, hit me, did whatever, and saying, should I be offended? Girlfriend, run. Um, they are hysterical. I remember that from last year, right around the Christmas holidays and afterwards. They were nuts for a while last year, too. And we're having it's nuts again. I mean, I'm still laughing on the relationship thread. The guy who said that he thought his wife might be cheating, but he wasn't sure. And she was telling him some story about having condoms she was using on her dildo that he didn't know she had, her little toy. And so he was smelling her toy. I still laugh over that one. So it's the craziest things going on right now. Run. Yeah, Claire, a lot of those, when they say, should I be offended or worried? I just feel like a lot of times I'll go on there and say, run, run, run. This guy's abusing you. He's only going to get worse. It only escalates. Um, and I understand a lot of people don't like ending their relationships when they go haywire, but what other option do we have? I mean, really, either you stay in the abuse and you get abused, or you run. So that kind of blows my mind sometimes. And I don't know why they were doing that. So anyway, I just want to jump on here real quick and talk for a second about when you have guests and all that crazy stuff. And then also about all the craziness going on right now in the community between um, Kareem Williams and a pile of people, and what's going on between Amy Duggar King and our Miss Without a Box of Kleenex. I'm looking for Drunken Live tonight. I don't know about you guys, but I think we will see a Drunken Live. Hallelujah. And tomorrow, The Righteous Gemstones comes back on HBO, and I am excited because the guy who is the writer, director, producer, star, Danny McBride, went to a church that was linked with my old church in the States that I'm writing my book about. He went to a sister church when he was a kid. And I recognized the first time I watched The Righteous Gemstones, two stories that came directly from our church family, that there were all these churches that were affiliated with one another. Yeah, so the Amy Duggar tea is interesting, Christoph, and I don't know that she realizes that. Here's what I think is going to happen. Let me make a prediction. I know I'm jumping around a lot. I haven't seen you guys in like 3 days, and so I'm like got all this stuff on my mind. We all know what Without a Box of Kleenex does. We know her MO. We know everything she does. So what I'm looking to see is that Katie Joy will release screen caps of her conversations. I'm looking for that. I think it will happen. I think she'll either edit out her comments to Amy, or she will downplay them in some way, and she will expose the worst of Amy and try to say, well, I tried to make her not be so awful. So I think that that's what's going to happen. And then Amy will become offended, and it will just escalate from there. I think what we're going to have a complete crap show. And I wouldn't doubt that we're going to see some kind of legal action out of this eventually, particularly once both women get on their high horse. Christoph, Ann, I hope so, because that sometimes the only way to shut down fire is to fight it with fire. And in my opinion, yes, I think Amy will do that. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised she hasn't either, Small Town Jewel. But like I said, I think we'll get a Drunken Live tonight. I can just feel it. And when that happens, there's no telling what tea she's going to spill about Amy. Or maybe she'll go on Instagram Live and do one of her long, lengthy rants and then completely delete it and say, I didn't say that. I didn't say that, because we know that she likes to do that too. But it's very interesting watching some of the things that are happening in the community from the sidelines going, why would that be? And life is just full of crazy, especially when you are looking at all this stuff online. I don't know what's going to happen here with any of this. But I'm hoping Amy's learned her lesson. I hope she doesn't throw shade at her cousins anymore, because I got to say that about all this stuff going on with Amy and going on between AB and Without a Box of Kleenex. Amy has sure enough said some things and thrown some nasty shade at her cousins. And again, I don't approve of that. When you have family, you might say, well, so-and-so deals with this, but you're not going to sit there and just out everybody in your family as these awful things, because it's pretty gross to do that. I mean, what are you, a family or what? Even if you have people you don't like in your family, you don't sit there and say, well, this one's bipolar, this one's in jail, this one does that. You just don't do that. So for Amy to do that, non-disclosure agreement or not, is pretty gross. So I hope also, Small Town Jewel, that Llama Girl gets all of it. I'm not a fan of Amy Duggar, but I do enjoy watching Jess's videos because the kids are adorable. Christoph, Ann, I think so too. And all the shade that has been thrown, not just by Without a Box of Kleenex, but there are other people who've said these things about Jess. It's unwarranted and unnecessary. The videos are cute. The kids are cute. Kids are going to have bruises. Kids are going to get sticky stuff all over their hands. That's just how life is. And I think Jessa should do Jessa the way she wants to. Would I like to see her move away from what her family's done? Yes. But at the same time, it's her journey. Nobody can really dictate to her what she does and does not do. We all do what we're capable of when we're on our journeys in and out of stuff, or we're just surviving. What do you think of the Waxy's video? Uh, T King, I saw Waxy's new video, and let me tell you, that is the biggest bunch of malarkey there ever was. I wish if Waxy has proof of her things that she's saying, she needs to release it and stop defaming Steve, Tina, and Aaron. Aaron seems pretty damn awesome to me, and so does Tina. Tina's been nothing but nice to me, same as Aaron. Steve has been nothing nice to me. I don't understand Steve totally. Steve does mathematics, which math and I are like no bueno. I mean, I don't like math. I have to get my husband to balance my checkbook. So I just don't know Steve well enough beyond those. He does have his great debate community and now the non sequitur show. That's his thing. Go for it. It's not my thing. I don't watch him every now and then, but I'm not intellectual enough. I mean, I have to say, Claire Bear, you hang out with some very intellectual folks sometimes, and I'm just in awe. I don't know how anybody manages to grow enough brain power to do those things, but I don't think Waxy has any proof. She just wants to have relevance. She When she first came around, I tried to be nice to her, like I try to be to everybody. But when she started being sympathetic to the Duggars and denying things that were pretty obvious or pretty, glaringly in your face, I was like, I'm done with her. So I haven't really had anything to do with her. But when Waxy has been coming back and saying all this stuff about Steve and Aaron and Tina and claiming there's a CULT run by Steve. And I like to say, I've said this frequently, I've said this many times in other streams. If this is a CULT, it's the worst one I've ever seen. I mean, the Hale Boppers, at least they got a roll of quarters and a pair of Nikes out of the deal. The people who are members of the Manson family at least got all the sex and drugs they can handle, they can work with. You're the dummy in the group? Well, I guess I'm the dummy in this other group. So maybe we ought to pal around together and gain a little bit of intellectualness because I don't have it. So so to even say that about Steve saying he was running all this is just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. And I've said this before. I think Waxy is like, I've said this about someone else's subs. I think Waxy is maybe not the most educated. She's a stay-at-home grandmother, and she doesn't maybe have the most experience with the real world, so she's buying into all these conspiracies. And I think that's what's going on. Chris, I mean, I love you for saying that, but I don't feel like it. There's a lot of times I'm like, I feel like, particularly if I've taken my Lyrica. The Lyrica definitely takes my sharpness away. When I skip it, when I have something I have to have mental capacity for, I will skip it or delay my dose specifically so I can deal with that. So I think that Waxy is off base with all of this. And I don't know why she's doubling down. Nat has been proven to be this huge liar. She's been proven to be the one behind all the threats and all of that. I mean, I expect the FBI to at least try to prosecute her for the anti-Semitic threats she was throwing at Mr. Saltz. I mean, that is awful. So first you have Without a Box of Kleenex, you have Nat, and you have Waxy on K's stream, K Baxter's stream, and they're saying, oh, it's stuff. You can sign off on that. Well, girl, you let that happen on your channel without any proof. And Waxy has yet True Ball of Wax has yet to produce one document that supports anything that she's still saying. If you cannot show the receipts, you just need to shut the heck up about it. Shut the heck up. Right? What do we say? Shut up or throw it down, let us see it. And that's the kind of what I'm throwing out to Waxy today. Either be quiet, sit down and let everybody else talk who knows something about it, or cough up your proof. The proof is in the pudding. And I'm not seeing any pudding, not tapioca, chocolate, or anything else. I'm not seeing any proof. So you can't make allegations without proof. That's how you end up being sued for defamation of character. That is literally how you end up getting sued. So I'm curious when she's going to do this, or if she's going to do it, or if she's just going to continue to spew crap. I saw she made all these excuses about this happening, that happening, this one dying. That's all really tragic. But that does not mean that it doesn't give you space to say those things and have anyone think that. Yeah, sit it down and cut it out. People like KJ are always whinging that the Duggar kids need to leave their parents' beliefs behind, but when they show they are trying to move forward, she loses her ever-loving mind. Absolutely, Laura. That's one of the things. And that's one of the things that I've tried to say here, and I'm going to say it again. When you leave these high demand religious organizations, and that's what the Duggars are involved in, what happens is you lose everything. You lose your friends, you lose your support, you lose your everything. And if you're raised in this, it's not just like your friend group and the people who support you. You lose your family, you can lose your home, you can lose everything. And I don't know if I need to tell you what that feels like walking away. I mean, it was bad enough when I walked away from my old church, but I cannot imagine to walk away from family. I think for Jill and Derek, it says something very deep about who they are as people that they've walked through this and they've walked away. I think any of these kids, we just need to support them regardless. We don't have to support the parents or like them at all. They are the ones that created this situation. Sadly, they're not the ones that want to fix this situation. They think that their way is the best way. And we know damn good and well that they're just using those children. They're using them and exploiting them for dollars, Duggering for dollars, someone said once on one of the other boards I was on. We started saying that Duggering was going to mean trying to exploit others for money. And I think there's some truth to that. So I think we need to be supportive of the kids in every way, shape, or form, because if they start leaving this thought process, they're going to lose everything and they're going to need all the support they can get. The kids deserve compassion and grace. Absolutely, Laura. They do. They're the ones that need to receive some compassion and grace. They also have to find a partner outside the belief to help them see the other side. Christoph, Ann, that's true. And you know how hard that is? My husband and I, we got out of our old church together. Do you know how rare that is? I know people who've gotten out and have divorced. They told me to divorce my husband when he started getting out. And I said, well, I'm going to stay. He said I could stay. I'm going to stay. And he'll go there and I'll go here. It'll be fine. I started getting the push to divorce him almost immediately. I was like, what? That does not happen. I mean, no, not over a church. Which church you're going to? So there's so many hurdles they're going to have to overcome. I'm going to have to think about this and write about it, because I've started writing some about some of the situations, like the stone kid that they exorcised and the kid who screamed to masturbate. Some of this poor second generation kids that I knew from my old church, some of them are doing so well. Some of them are not. It's kind of awkward because I'm friends with two of them where one of them has sexually assaulted the other one. And I would really like to drop the sexual assaulter off my friends list. But at the same time, I know that he needs compassion and help because he's really going through a lot from having left. And when he left, that was all I could do was just be supportive of him. So it creates some problems. I'm not going to lie. It's messy. It's messy. It's painful. These things happen. But there is life on the other side. You just don't see it while it's going on. You're thinking, oh my God, my life is over. I'm cast out into the outer darkness forever. I'm Satan's cabana boy, whatever. Because they're all telling you that you are Satan's cabana boy and that you are going to go to hell. Hell. Now, when I have some of them come after me and say, you're going to hell in your handbasket, I say, honey, I'm putting my snacks in there, my soft pillow. I have a candle for ambiance. I'm decorating that sucker because if you are going to heaven, I'm not sure I want to be in heaven with you because you're an awful person. So having compassion for the ones coming out, even the awful ones like this guy, can be a challenge. And that's what I really pray for those kids, that the ones that come out right into the right people, the right hands to help them out. And it's going to take a ton of therapy. I'm just going to come right out and say it took me a ton of therapy to get to the other side. Yeah, and it finds finding the right therapist. The right therapist can do wonders, but falling into the hands of the wrong one can do hateful things. I talked about this before. My husband went through a therapist for 18 months. A therapist demanded that he bring me. He did. The therapist angrily told me I was the problem, that if I were a lot more submissive, we wouldn't be having these problems. And I pretty much told the therapist what he could do with his Bible, because he was a Bible-based, independent, fundamentalist Baptist therapist. I had no idea that my husband was going to somebody based around that religion. But there he was. Okay, you guys, I'm going to go. I got to wash those dishes before this guy comes back and nags the crap out of me. Just a few more days and he's going. And I'm one of these very private people. I'm not wild about having somebody walking around looking at my front window or anything else. So there's been a little bit of tension because of that. I'm pretty much the an introvert. Now I enjoy myself. I'm an introvert that can be extroverted for small ends of time, but I usually have to have some alone time to recharge. Okay, you guys, take care. I'll be back in a day or two, maybe tomorrow, who knows? And we'll just go from there. I want to talk more about the steps you have to take to leave and what it takes. Okay, see you later.